Hi, this is Daniel from the Ultimate Guitar Academy, and I'm going to teach you some guitar. We're going to continue working on step 1 of the Ultimate Guitar method, but let's today start off with a song. The song I want to show you is another picking song where we rest our hand on the guitar. It's called Peter Gunn. Now there are several different ways of playing this. I've seen many different versions. We're going to stick with an excellent beginner version of the song that I like to use. It starts with open, open. On the low E string, just like that. Then it's 2 open, 3 open, 5, 4. When I put it together, now that can be a little hard to learn. Here's a really good trick that I've figured out over the years. Instead of starting with the beginning, open, open, let's just forget that. Let's start with 2 open and practice that. Once you've got the hang of 2 open, move on to 3 open. Once you've got the hang of that, put it together. 2 open, 3 open. Once you're comfortable with that much, add the 5, 4 on the end, so we get this. Once you're finally comfortable with that and can play it at a suitable speed, then add the open, open at the beginning. You notice my right hand is basically on autopilot. And then my left hand just jumps on the correct note when it needs to. Now there aren't many things left in step 1 of the Ultimate Guitar method. One thing you do need to know though is the difference between a note and a chord. A note is simply when we play one string on the guitar. It's basically one single pitched sound, so we're dealing with one pitch at a time. On the guitar, that's just one string. Whether it's open or held, one string will generate one pitch. Chords, on the other hand, are a combination of notes played at the same time. That's why you'll notice all of our chord shapes, we're playing lots of strings all at once. So that we're playing more than just one note, a whole bunch of notes at the same time. The notes of the musical alphabet are the same as the English alphabet, however stopping at G. So we get A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and we don't go any further. We then will get A again, and then we keep repeating. So it will be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on. Each time it repeats, it gets higher and higher and higher. This is how we end up with more than just one E string, because we get A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then later on we get another E that is higher in pitch. The last theory aspect of step 1 is knowing about the beat that we have in music. The beat is that driving pulse in a song. You should imagine it's the pulse of a song, the heartbeat of a song. So if I'm playing a song and it's paced like this, that constant tapping, that's the beat of what I'm playing. Typically in music, we split everything up into something called bars. A bar is just a grouping of 4 beats. You may come across some songs where it's more or less than 4, but we're just going to stick with 4 beats in a bar for the time being. So every time I get to 4, I stop and I go back to 1 and I keep counting from there. That's why you never hear anyone count past 4 in music. It's also why bands, when they start, they often will count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they go straight into their song. And one of the last things we need to learn in step 1 is the E major chord. Now we've already learned the E minor chord. This is not the same, this is E major. The word major we don't need to say, so we can just call this chord E. In order to play this, I'm going to take my index finger, go to the G string, 88 dynamite, good. Hold that down, and then also hold an E minor shape as well with different fingers. So what I end up getting is an E minor plus 1 finger. So I have a starting finger plus the E minor. If I take off that starting finger, it's just E minor. Putting it back on though, because we want E major, we strum every string. Now let's use this in a song. The song is That's What I Like About You by the Romantics. It's an old classic. We basically just play E, then A, then D, then A, and we get 2 strums per chord. Here's what we have. If you need help changing fast from chord to chord, here's a few tips. Start with the extra finger plus an E minor, and you should sit down and practice that process. Extra finger, E minor, extra finger, E minor, extra finger, E minor, until you're comfortable with it. For A, we want the 3 in a row, so we need our fingers like so. Aim to get 3 fingers in a row, and bam, straight on the right spot. You can use your index finger, which is this one here, as an anchor point. So that's the point that we get first, and the rest of the chord should follow afterwards. In order to get to D, use the process we've already talked about in previous lessons, where we have the back 2 on at once, bam, and then the front finger as well. From there, it's just back to A, then back to E. There are 2 really effective songs to help you with your E chord, but in order to learn them, we need a capo. So I'm going to go ahead and try this out. If you don't have a capo, just play it without a capo at home. A capo basically is a clamp that holds down the strings for us. When we put it on, we don't use anything behind the capo. So if I capo 5, 5 is now like my fret number 1, and I play everything in front of that, like so. Anything behind the capo doesn't do anything. Does nothing. So we're going to capo 1. The 2 songs are exactly the same thing, one's slow and one's fast. The first one is the slow one. It's Mambo No. 5 by Lou Bega. It's a classic from 1999, very old. We start with E major, give it a big old strum, then change to D, then back to E, then D. Each chord goes for 2 bars, so that's 8 counts because 4 plus 4 will be 8. So 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and repeat for the entire song. In order to change quickly between D and E, I can take my E chord, remove the top 2, slide the index finger forward, and then land the other 2 where a D is. Then repeat the same idea, the same process for getting back to E. So the bottom 2 go off, slide it back, and add the low 2 here. So off, slide, on. Off, slide, on. Notice that one finger is sliding forwards and backwards. It doesn't come off the guitar and then reposition, it just moves forward and back. This is also a good way of remembering what the E chord is. I find a lot of people often forget it. Now back in 2014, Pitbull had a song called Fireball. It's the exact same thing, just a lot faster. This time, we want both the chords to fit into the 1 bar. So if a bar has 4 beats, then each chord will only get 2 beats like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. Basically, it's going to be so fast that as soon as you strum one chord, instantly change to the next one. Remember, if you don't have a capo, simply play these same songs in their normal position without a capo. Of course, they won't match the music this way. You'll just have to play them on your own without any recordings behind you. Now we're going to check out a guitar classic called Wild Thing. It's an old song, I think from the 60s. Starts with an A. 2 strums, both downward in direction, not too fast, not too slow. Then we change to a D. This D is going to have 2 down strums again, but this time faster. We then move on to an E. Notice I'm not playing E minor. I said E, so I mean E major. We have 2 slow strums. And then we change back to a D, which has 2 fast strums. We end up getting this. A, D, D, E, E, D, D. Now that's not the whole song, that's just the main part of the song. That's all we really need for now. You're welcome to try practicing that along with the music. It would be over the main part of the song where they're singing Wild Thing. If you're game to try the next part, which is the little quiet section of the song, all it is on the low E is 3-5-3-5. Then you repeat. Over and over again. You might be able to notice that I'm using the skill that we learned in one of our previous exercises where we played 5 and 7. 5, 7, 5, 7. Here, it's the same thing, moved 2 frets lower. That's a great example of how learning the skills behind the music can help you learn songs. If you've got the skill, you just apply it to the right section, the right part of the song. That should be plenty of content for you to practice. Remember, when you practice, start off with your scales, which you should play 3 times each, your exercises, which should be played at least 3 times each, probably more like 5 times. Then move on to your chords, just checking that they're all nice and clear, like so. And then move on to your songs. Always save songs till last. You should also play songs several times over each rather than just once and thinking that that's done. If you're having trouble with a song, break it apart and focus on practicing just a small section of it until you're comfortable, then put it all back together. Congratulations, that concludes step 1 of the Ultimate Guitar Method. There are still plenty of other songs you can learn in step 1, however, that fulfills the necessary requirements for the skills and knowledge in the grade. In order to move on to step 2 of the Ultimate Guitar Method, head on over to ultimateguitaracademy.com where you can contact us and arrange to book a free trial lesson either in person or over Skype. I would also love to hear from you if you found these videos to be useful or helpful or have any questions. We're more than happy to help you out with your learning and guitar journey. Be sure to maintain a healthy practice regime at home. I recommend about 3 to 4 times a week, each going for around 10 minutes. Thanks for learning step 1 with me, and until next time, keep shredding.